Awesome. Good afternoon, Trade Pros. This is Mark coming at you guys from Trade Pro Academy headquarters here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Welcome to today's afternoon update for Thursday, April the 18th. And let's get at it here, guys. So first things first, we are going to be taking a look at some of the news drivers that came out after the morning update on YouTube. That was on 9 a.m. So anything that came out after that, we'll take a quick peek at. Only thing that we did have was some of the PMI numbers out of the States, flash manufacturing PMI and flash services PMI. Let's see, PMI, the April preliminary market manufacturing PMI came in at 52.4 versus 52.8 expected. And our flash services PMI came in at 52.9 versus 55 expected. So a bit of a miss on that front. We also had business inventories, the month-over-month figures come out, and the CB Confidence Board leading index month-over-month figures also came out. And we saw the business inventories, February business inventories came in at 0.3% versus 0.3% expected. And the March leading index came in at 0.4% versus 0.4% expected. So came in right on forecast for both the business inventories and the leading index. And we also had at 10:30 a.m. natural gas storage numbers come out. We saw 92 billion cubic feet versus 86 billion cubic feet to 88 indicated range. So a bit of a release on that front. What else did we have here? We had Attorney General Barr mentioned special counsel's report recounts 10 episodes involving President Trump and evaluates whether they qualify as obstruction of justice. Barr disagreed with some of the special counsel's legal theories about obstruction. And that's all that we've had for today. And that's all that we have planned for the remainder of the session. And really for the remainder of the week, we will be seeing Good Friday tomorrow, and markets will be in observance of that. So that will be the end of the week's trading at today's close here at 4 p.m. Eastern, or 5 p.m. Eastern if you're trading those futures. So now that we've covered the news, let's take a quick peek at our quote board here. So let me close up this chart here. Let me get this camera off of my face and onto my screen. And there you are, guys. And let me pull up my pen here. So what we've got so far today, crude oil futures, we've switched over to the M contract. There's a little bit more liquidity on this one, so we made the shift this morning. And that's why you're seeing the M's on there. So far, we've got around 360,000 contracts, down 0.27%. And we've also got crude oil, or rather SPUs. We've traded so far 871,000 contracts, and daily change percentage is almost flat at 0.19%. So higher than average volume here on SPUs, a little bit below average volume here on crude. We've been seeing around 450 to 500,000 contracts around this time of day, seeing a little bit less today. However, SPUs, we're seeing above average volume, 872. We've been seeing around 650 to 750 on average around this time of day. So a little bit more than average is what we're seeing here on this SPUs. So now that we've covered that, let's take a quick peek at our quote, or rather our pivot charts here. So what you will notice on crude oil is that we had a bit of a rally coming in overnight. Our New York session opened right around 9 a.m. So let's get rid of that. So right around 9 a.m. That was somewhere around this time here, which means we held the pivot here. Pre-pit open, weren't quite able to get back up into there. Pivot comes in at 64.10, and we've rolled off of that pivot since the open here. Now, we did get another rotation back up into that 64 zone. That level has held now, and we are seeing a push lower. Where is our target? Well, you've got the overnight low comes in around the 63.53s, which is this swing low right here that led to that rally. And you've also got S1 sitting right at that 63.49. We'll call it 63.50, just to get that round number in there. So that is our target for today's session. Another pushback towards those lows here. As far as the SPOs are concerned, bit of a run up overnight. You can see, when did this guy close? So there was 5 o'clock. So we had a little bit of a sell-off into that S1, into the London session. You can see we held this S1 level right around those 28.9150s. We had 1 rotation, 2, 3 rotations, dipped the head below it, came back up, and that rotation led us up into that pivot. Pivot's right around that 29.08 zone right here. Peaked our head above that pivot, rolled off of it, couldn't quite make a new low here, so we held above the S1. Now we're rotating back up into that pivot zone range. So watch for this level to hold as potential resistance. This is right around the open for today's session. So watch that to hold. If we do get back up above this level, I can see us trying to press back up into that R1 zone. But if we do fail here, we'll likely be stuck within this range between the 07.25 and the 91.57s. So that's what we've got on the pivot charts. If I open up my 10-tick chart here on crude, you'll see kind of echoes the sentiment from the pivot. We had this little run up here overnight. Let's make this a little bit thicker here. There we go. So a little bit of a run up overnight. Our pit open was right up there. I believe that is 64.25, and sold off really on that open. Came back up to retest the 63.95 zone. There we go. And we are seeing, come on. All right, looks like my pen is not working. There we go. All right, pen is back. So what we are seeing here had a rotation up into that 63.95 zone right in there. Buyers could not press thing above. You saw 1 rotation, 2 rotation, 3 rotations. Now we've driven that lower back into this previous little structure low there, right around those 63.70s. As mentioned, I'm looking for this thing to press back down into that overnight low, right around those 55s. S1 also comes in right around the 63.50s. And if you take a look, this is our 5-day volume profile right there. You have got the value area low right at that zone as well, right in those 55. So could be a good level to watch for. Did catch a nice bounce off of that level here overnight. That was from the 55s, got us back up into those 25s. So a nice move out of there. I don't really see this thing breaking on the first try. Rather, what I see happening is some rotations, maybe another pop-up into that previous day close pit VWAP. If they do, however, crack that zone, could look for a little bit of a rotation back up, a little consolidation for a push back down into the 63.20, 63.25s. So that's what we've got for you guys as far as levels, as far as market sentiment for the session. On oil, let's take a quick gander at SP 500, and you will see somewhat similar. Little bit of a pull up here from London session. You can see this was around 330 on the open here. Held those 29.10s, had some rotations, ultimately sold off from there. Was looking at that 2900 zone for support. This was a huge level last week. If I zoom back far enough, you can see we had 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. We had 1, 2, 3, 4 tests of that as resistance, broke out above it, then we came back into it, broke through it, broke back above, retested it as support, just dipped our head back below it, rotated up into our previous zone here in those 5s. Then we pulled back into that zone, found some support. Now we are pushing a little bit higher here on the SPOs. And to be quite frank, I am not enjoying this chop at all. Came down into here. I can see it's tough for me to trade around these levels, not really respecting the levels on the first time. So kind of has you second guessing the levels, but what you're seeing here is the move down, almost kind of like an inverse head and shoulders. There's one shoulder, there's your head, there's your second shoulder, there's your neckline. We just broke right back above that. So what I'm watching for now, pull back into this 05 zone here, almost maybe even down into that VWAP section here, previous day close, some consolidation and continuation higher. I think we'll see a press up into these previous highs here. Overnight highs, the 11.75. If we can get back up above that, watch for those 14s, and above that, massive 29.20 zone has been holding as resistance. You can see 1, 2, 3 tests up there. So that's what we'll be watching for into the latter end of the session. And to close out our morning update, or rather afternoon update, let's take a quick gander here at our TRADEPRO Performance Index. And what you're seeing here is, for today's date, the 18th, 61.54% of our Discord community members were green, trading live capital today. So albeit we had a little bit of a tougher session in the SPOs, it's good to see that the team is up, or rather a majority of the team is up. In fact, 50% of the team was green, 11 were flat, and the remainder were down. So good numbers. We're continuing on with the overall bullish trend. So if I was an investor of TRADEPRO Performance Index ETF, I'd be buying the dips. And that's what we're liking to see. About a week or so left to close out April. As mentioned earlier in the update, we will be closed, or rather the markets will be closed tomorrow in observance of Good Friday, and I believe we'll have reduced hours on Monday. So with that said, guys, I hope you enjoy the remainder of today's session. If you will be trading, make sure to follow the 3 rules: stay patient, stay diligent, and stay disciplined. That's going to be all from me today. Until Monday, good luck and good trading, guys. This is Mark again from TRADEPRO Academy, signing out here. Have a good one. Take care.